Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa match preview, Champions League action, Monaco v Aston Villa, joined by Ryan. How you doing, mate?
Very well, mate. Very well. Glad to be back on the Euro vibe. So very much looking forward to this week's action.
Yeah, mate, feels proper fresh going into this Champions League phase. Still the same phase that we was in sort of last year, but I don't know. It feels like the end goal's in sight now. There's a shiny piece of silverware that's in the distance, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. But me and you were at Everton earlier on in the week, and we had a great time seeing us beat Everton, and we had a fantastic point against Arsenal, and it really does feel that. Well, I personally feel like we're starting to like crank it up a bit now with the intensities there, the interviews from the players. They're sticking their chest out a bit, sort of like Rodgers and Watkins saying, I'm feeling better. We can improve. It just feels like that intensity is starting to build, and I just think for the fan base and me personally, like now's the time to start really feeling quite positive and looking forward and just trying to harness as much good energy as you can, because we can see what happens when you start to do that. When we went on the run to get into the Europa Conference League, the run to get into the Champions League, just the feel good around the place. And I really do believe that we're going to start getting better and better. And I think it's got to continue on Tuesday night against Monaco, really. So give us your thoughts on Arsenal and moving forward into sort of like the next phase of our season.
Yeah, well, since the turn of the year, we're undefeated. We obviously, like you mentioned, we went up to Everton, we won, and we got that rot of losing away games, and to get 4 points from Everton and Arsenal in a week, very good, mate. Very good. So yeah, we're heading into the rest of the season with optimism. I thought Arsenal, it was the typical away performance. We sort of like sucked it up for 10 minutes, and then we sort of getting into it. And conceded a couple of poor goals, but we didn't half rectify that, and we got ourselves back into it, and we could have went and won it. It was a very even game in the end, and more than a match for Arsenal, and that should give the team and the supporters big confidence now to take, as you say, into the next phase. And like with the Champions League, it's coming down to the business end of this group league, and we're going to be approaching the business end of the Premier League soon, and the FA Cup as well. And yeah, I just feel like with the transfers as well, I feel like we're finishing off the work that we didn't quite get done in the summer, and that's a big boost, isn't it, for the team, seeing fresh guys come in, and it perks everybody else up as well, doesn't it? So that could be a big momentum push as well. And yeah, the belief and just building momentum now in this squad, and game by game, and just keep churning them out. You look at Manchester City. I'm not putting us at that title challenging form, but we've got to be similar to that, where you get through the turn of the year and that's it now. The momentum's got to just roll with it, and you've just got to continue to churn, results, pick up points here, and that's what we want to be. That's the level of team and club that we want to be. So that's the challenge for us, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we could all probably agree that the standout and most impressive part of our season is probably where we sit in the Champions League table. If I get the table up for us now, we're sitting comfortably inside that top 8 with it all in our own hands. If we win our next 2 games, we are in the top 8, and that going into these games is absolutely huge. So I just really want to get your thoughts on where you feel like we are. How many points do you feel like is required to get into that top 8? And who's been impressing you the most in the Champions League?
Yeah, we're touching clock, aren't we? We are close, man. And I feel like one win might just do it. And I know there's a lot of talk about Celtic at home, but for me, the job is Monaco away. You know, if we can get a result there, we're virtually done without really needing to beat Celtic on the last day. That's going to be an absolute superb game, by the way. But the focus has got to be on Monaco away and getting 3 points, which I think is achievable. As for people that I've been impressed with, it's kind of like who's not impressed me. That the likes of Manchester City's, your Paris Saint-Germain's, your Real Madrid's that are down there, they've been like the most eye-catching, really. You know, how they've struggled to adapt to this new format. Now we don't know any other format apart from this, so you know this is new to us, like it is to everybody else. But I've really been enjoying this new format, and I feel like at the minute now, Luke, we're kind of like in a pressure-free environment. We're nestled there in 5th. Like, I'd say positionally, right now, we're overachieving to what I thought we would be. I'd never expected us with 2 games to go, we'd be in 5th. But I wouldn't say we've overachieved in any game. Every game, we've deserved the points that we've earned. So for us there, we've put ourselves in a really healthy position. And like, I don't know, the Euro vibe with Villa at the minute, it's like, it's really good. There's a different energy around it. There's a different energy around the squad, and especially away from home, we've had some cracking results. Bruges, obviously, we had a mare with the handball, but Young Boys and Leipzig, you know, 3 goals a piece in them games. So we're really embracing this competition, and I think going to Monaco as well is another fixture and another unique club and stadium to visit, and we're enjoying it, and that translates to our performances. So I'm hoping for another good performance, mate.
Yeah, me too. I personally feel like 4 points would probably get that top 8. I think that's how many points I reckon he's going to be in and around it. But I just really want to think about how we're focusing on this Monaco game, because I know, for example, that Emery will be talking about to the players that this is the opportunity to really cement the top 8, because if we can win this one, we then at Villa Park last game, we know what the crowd's going to be like. We know the energy in that stadium. You know, that is going to be a huge, memorable night. But if we can get the job done, it feels like it's first opportunity to really sort of put a marker down. And I think the players will be right up for this game. So we are playing Monaco, a team that are in really poor form at the minute. And I think that, again, is an opportunity for us to really go there and stamp our authority with our style on how we play and make it very difficult for them. There is that old Villa that when a team's in form, they'll probably rock out like probably wearing a yellow kit and look like prime Brazil. But, you know, we've got to take that impact of what they want to be able to do out of this game and just dominate and just enjoy it, but sort of like just be intense, you know, make it really intense. And I think one of the plus sides for Villa in this game is that it's not a hostile environment. It's not a place where the crowd are going to be on top of you and it's really intimidating. It's going to be completely different because, you know, they tend to struggle to sell tickets in pretty much all of their games. You'll see games that they play with empty seats everywhere. So, yeah, I think that could possibly go into Villa's favour as well. And we did a fantastic episode with Tom Williams, a French football expert, talking to me and to you guys at home all about what Villa fans can expect, the history, how they play, what players to look out for. So it is a real in-depth look at Monaco and it's well worth a watch. So I'll put that onto the end of this video as well for you. So Ryan, Monaco then, how are you feeling about it? What type of game is it going to be?
They're quite a progressive team, aren't they? Monaco, young but progressive, positive mindset, try and be dynamic. They're very hard working. But like you say, we're catching them in their worst run of form in the season. It is their last home game of this Champions League group stage, so they'll be looking to sign off with a performance. They started the season, Champions League season, very well. They overcome by Barcelona, didn't they? Albeit Barca were down to 10 men early on, but you've still got to get the win, and they've churned out points nicely, and they've put themselves in a very good position. So it's a difficult task. Like you say, with the stadium, it appears to be more like, I don't know, like spectators rather than fans, like just people that if you're about, you'll rock up and, oh, there's a football game on. They don't seem to have that. I might be completely wrong, but they don't seem to have that passionate, like, die-hard fan base. So obviously the setting of the game, the stadium's very unique. So there's an opportunity there for us to rock up and really, like you said, be intense, really put ourselves a marker down and puff our chest out. And like, we're Aston Villa, and I think people look at us differently now. Look, I think I kind of downplay it. I think people across Europe are looking at us like a very good team. A lot of European fans watch the Premier League. Well, it's watched all over the world, and I think there's a lot of respect for our name now. And Monaco won't be looking forward to us rocking up there. And I think with this like kind of pressure-free environment that we've got around Champions League, we can go there and really, really lay down a marker. I feel like the way they play as well suits our like deep transitions. We like to build with depth and open up the pitch and really spread them. And I feel like Monaco is open to that. I feel like the way they play, that they like to come on and big high line. And I was watching some of the highlights from the Arsenal game that they played. I think it was their last game actually. And a few times they actually got caught trying to transition themselves. So Arsenal were pressing well and caught them trying to play out of the back. And there was quite a few mistakes there. But the way they're trying to play football is kind of suited to the way we like to set up, and I feel like their style of play plays into ours, giving us an advantage.
Yeah, something that I've noticed since being back in Europe is that as a league, we're not very well liked. I don't think this is just the vibe I've got. It feels like because we've got the best league, the best players, I always get a sense of they really want to beat the Premier League teams. So I do think teams do sort of raise their level and want to impress because, they're coming up against Premier League players. So, yeah, it's important that we do our job and we rock up to the Stade Louis in the best shape we possibly can. And, I'm a massive F1 fan, so I love the Monaco circuit. I've walked around it. The stadium, when you're in it, is great. From the outside, it's not the best looking. It just looks like offices, really. So we'll take a little look at some of their stats so far in the Champions League then. So they've played 6, they've scored 12, they conceded 10. Goals per game is at 2. Big chances per game is at 3. Big chances missed per game is at 1.8. They're having 13.7 shots per game, 5.3 on target. They're having 55% possession, 81% passing accuracy. In their own half, 88. In the opposition half, 74. They're conceding 1.7. So, they're conceding quite a bit. They're winning 49% of their duels. So if we just have a little look at their team and how they're going to look like they're going to line up, their biggest threat is Ben Sakir. So he's the one that I think we've really got to make sure we're watching out for. A lot of both wide players like to come inside a little bit as well. So they'll come into these areas. And then their fullbacks will be the ones that will be wanting to go forward and offer the width. Golovin will be looking to get forward as well. And generally, they'll leave one player a little bit deeper, and then another player will go into a little bit more of an advanced sort of like double pivot. There are some games where they do leave that little 2 at the back as well. So that's something that Villa will be able to try and exploit with Ollie Watkins or Duran, if that's who's going to start for Villa. And Bolo, Switzerland striker, really good, strong, powerful. Really got to watch out for him. But I think as a forward line, this might come to bite me, but I think we should be all right. I always find that when they're a little bit sort of like quicker, look to run behind, a little bit like a Pender for Leipzig, those are the players that, to me, cause us problems, especially in Europe. So, and Bolo, I think we should be able to like manhandle him a little bit. So what we're going to do, Ryan, is we are going to predict the Aston Villa lineup then. So we'll go through it, predict the Villa lineup. On who we think is going to play in this game. To note, Marlon can't play in Monaco or against Celtic. He can play in the knockout phase because he's already played for Dortmund in the group phase. So it resets. If we sign 3 players that can be registered for the squad to go into the knockout phase, so Marlon can play in the knockouts, just not this game then. So I imagine we're going Martinez in goal then. So, Ryan, what's your back 4? And then we'll go from there.
I'd probably say the back 4 that ended the game against Arsenal. Do you think the thinking behind playing Maatsen was to rest Luka Dean for this game? So, I think it's going to be that back 4.
I agree. And I mean, both players put it on a plate for 2 players, didn't they? Luka Dean put one on for Tielemans, Cash for Watkins. So great to see both players with the end product that's required. But that Digne cross, that is a thing of beauty. That is a thing of beauty.
That's the benefits you get from crossing from deep, because the defenders can't set themselves, can they? It's early, it's deep, and it's 50, you're making it a 50-50 challenge in the box. And Tielemans put everything behind that, didn't he? And got his reward.
Yeah, definitely.
We have actually got we've got Maatsen there as centre back.
Oh yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
Let's stick Mings in there.
Yeah, we best do that.
We get called out for that, man. We'll get called out for that.
Yeah, we'll have problems with him and Bolo if we put Maatsen there. Right, so midfield then. Lack of options for Villa because of Onana. McGinn's back in training, we're hearing, so that's good. Tielemans, or does he stick with Bogard?
It was a big call, wasn't it? Big call on Saturday to put Bogard in. Yeah, the easy option was to drop Tielemans back into that double pivot. And I think if you asked every single Villa fan, we would have done that at the time. But Emery had a different plan, and Bogard done extremely well to come in that position in that game. He done brilliant.
But you know what though, Ryan?
Am I going to go against this for the lineup?
What I think it showed is that Emery wasn't deviating from his mindset of why he wants Tielemans next to Watkins. He wasn't prepared to go, no, I'm just going to put you back there, and then I'll bring... He wanted that for a structural reason, and it was brave and bold. It's whether he decides to deviate from that is the big question.
That was in play, and he weren't going to sacrifice what he had planned for Tielemans.
Because
so he's not making that sacrifice.
Yeah, because you saw what Tielemans was doing. He got the goal, edge of the box, hit the post.
Yeah.
That's why he stuck with it.
But now you're planning for a game now, aren't you? You're planning for a fixture, and you can plan in a Yuri Tielemans now in that deeper role, and then train. Train to suit. I wrote down Tielemans. I did.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll keep everybody in suspense, and we'll move on to some other positions, and we'll come back to that then. Right. So you got to stay tuned for the rest of it. Right. I'll go with another question then. Who's starting up front, Watkins or Duran?
Think I don't know. Duran probably.
I
He
think so.
hasn't featured for 4.5 games now. He has been starting Champions League games, hasn't he? Bologna, etc. And don't know. Probably his turn for a run out. What kind of threw me a little bit was Watkins' post-match interview against Arsenal, where he sort of hinted about him having the ability, him and Duran having the ability and attributes to play together. Now, is this an opportunity, or have they been working on it? It is something that we're going to see trialled again. We only really seen it a couple of times in game. We've never seen them start together, and I just feel like the more the season's gone on and the way Duran's game has developed, he's matured rapidly, I feel, from the start of the season to now. And there is signs that them two could collab, could really work. I don't know how that would suit our midfield and build up, but I feel like isolated them as a front two. I feel there is attributes, but I feel for this game, if it was a straight pick out of Duran and Watkins, I think it's a Duran run out.
Yeah, same. So I think we'll go with Duran. I think it'll be Ramsey again on the left-hand side. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, right. So we'll go, if I can, where's he gone? If I can find him, right, we'll put Ramsey on that left-hand side. Then that would leave the right-hand side. Who are you going on the right?
I am thinking Bailey. Bailey on the
Okay.
right-hand side.
Yeah. Okay. So we go with Rodgers will start as well. Yeah.
Next to Duran, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that as well. If we go with Bailey, we are now starting to tweak the system a little bit for this game, then, aren't we? Because what we've been seeing is that if it's Rodgers on the right, then Cash is
Yeah.
the one that's offering the width. Then that means Rodgers goes a little bit more in this area through here. So are we sort of saying that we've got a little bit more of Cash up and down a bit, but not too much? So Kamara doesn't necessarily have to screen and go into a back three then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it all plays on the availability of the pivot, really. Because if Tillemans is available, then I think we stay the same. But because we're missing Barkley, we're missing McGinn, we're potentially missing Anana. I don't know whether any news has come out about his injury. So, we're potentially ruling 3 of our pivot players out there. And Yuri's been playing there all season, hasn't he?
Yeah. Looking at this now, I feel like it needs Yuri Tielemans.
Oh, Yuri Tillemans has got to play. It's whether he plays instead of Bailey and Bogart goes in the pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the options. I think it's Bogart or Bailey, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To replace Anana.
I think I'll go with Bailey.
Yeah. Hammer.
Right. So that's our team. We got to it in the end.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. It's got enough. I think the good thing about Duran playing in this one is that even though Watkins is banging form, I don't think he needs to play. I don't feel like he needs to play this game. I think Duran is fine to come in and play. And we know what Champions League John Duran does. So expect a absolute rocket from around 35 yards out. And then off the bench, we have got options with Maatsen to come on as well. We've got Watkins off the bench. So we've got a couple of options that we can do there as well. Buendia, yeah. So those options are good. So, and I think that was the big thing about the game against Arsenal, like the subs that we're bringing on. We've got a better bench than Arsenal. The subs that we're bringing on are really to a really high quality. So Villa fans, let us know your thoughts on our lineup. What would you go with? Would it be Watkins, Duran, Bogard or Tielemans, Maatsen or Digne? And I think those are pretty much the options that we've got, really. So we'll touch on Watkins then. It feels like he's going through the gears a bit, and I think it's very important that he does do that. And if he can have a real good end to the season, then I think we'll be in a very good position. I thought he was superb against Arsenal. I thought he took his goal really well against Everton as well. So I think that's a big positive for Villa, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely. And on form, Watkins is a valuable asset. And like that first half, half an inch of getting his toe on the ball, or the through ball that's played to him, he could have had 2 or 3, in on goal. And it was so close, but he kept plugging away and he makes himself available. And when he's in this type of mood now, you can just feel an Ollie Watkins streak coming on. And we do know he's been with us. He's been with us what, 5 years now, and we do know his goals coming in streaks, don't they? He'll get 1, he'll get 2, he might get 9 or 10 in a period. But when the goals aren't going in, he still contributes, doesn't he? Like the assists, the running off the ball, the stretching of teams. Like he's a top player, and you kind of feel like he has been a bit harshly treated this year, but how do you respond to harsh criticism? You put the ball in the back of the net, and you get back on form, and you kind of feel like it's took a bit of time to adjust to competition in the form of Duran, and with Duran being so lively, a big character, and scoring the spectacular goals that he's been scoring. You've got to learn to deal with that, and that was on Ollie Watkins. Nobody else can do that for you. It's on him, and I kind of feel like he's accepted it now. He's learning to deal with that competition, and I think there's a big respect between the two of them. Like Morgan Rogers was it interviewed after the Everton game, where he was saying it's all about Aston Villa, isn't it? So, whoever scores the goals, if it's a Duran, if it's a Watkins, it's all for Villa. And I feel like Watkins and Duran are both at that level this season. Like it's a squad game, and whoever's starting and scoring, and it's all good for the team. But he did kind of drop that nobody likes to be substituted, and you don't, do you? Especially as a striker when there's goals up. But look, he hit double figures, then he hit double figures for the 5th season in a row, and like for a Villa striker, that is incredible. Like so, plenty more to come. Gabby's records in sight. I think Gabby's goal record and his assist record is both in sight for Ollie. So he'll be hunting them down, and he'll be looking to finish the season strong. And if we could get a strong finish from him with Duran playing a part as well, like that firepower. That firepower is frightening, isn't it? And I'm sure Arsenal would have loved to have Duran starting or an Ollie Watkins starting, and the fact that we've got 1 starting and 1 on the bench is absolutely insane. So we've just got to utilise that firepower.
Yeah, Watkins spoke after the game saying he wants 20 goals this season. So that shows you where his mentality is, that he's 10 away from getting 20 and he wants it. So, he's got 14 goal contributions this season in 22 games. That's pretty decent numbers considering he's been a little bit below par. And I think sometimes you can overlook niggles and injuries, and just because he's playing, you can see that he's going to be 100%. And I think he did struggle at the start of the season. I think he had an injury during the Euros that was being managed, and he came back to Villa probably not in peak shape without a pre-season. So the fact that now he's back amongst the goals, he's talking confidently as well. He's not just sort of like talking about other things. He's like really like zoned in. I think he's absolutely massive for Villa, and I think he's got a great opportunity to get them 20 goals.
Yeah, I kind of like felt that release. The Everton celebration when it was like, come on, you could just feel a whole load of release from that half of the season heading into the new half now. And yeah, you'd like him to break that 20 goal barrier. It's been like such a curse for Villa, that barrier. And like he was at 19 with about 6 or 7 to go last season, and we just couldn't get over the line. And yeah, but I'd love him. I'd love him to be the guy to finally break that barrier. So come on,
Yeah,
Ollie.
I think it's just freedom really of just feeling good and you know, like I said at the start, I feel like we're getting more intense, and I can see that just with everything. Players sort of how they're talking, how they look, just how they're feeling. I just get a real intense vibe from the place, and yeah, just really looking forward to seeing. To be fair, I'm really looking forward to watching us play. Like that is how I'm feeling at the minute because um, you know, I know what we're capable of. So yeah, it's earlier kickoff time in the Champions League, which is just always a bit of a random one in it, like 5:45. But yeah, so um, next episode from us then will be the reaction, unless there's any transfer news that I'll be bringing to you as well. So make sure you go and check out the episode that I did with Tom Williams, French football expert, if you want more of more analysis and an in-depth feel on Monaco rather than me and you trying to pick an 11 that we kind of struggle to pick. But
No,
yeah,
I watched it. I watched it before we come on air. It's a very good episode. Very good indeed.
yeah, I've enjoyed doing those this season because I think you get you know, some teams I've got a bit of knowledge on. So I had a bit of knowledge on Juventus, and then Bologna, you know, I'd got no clue on Bologna. And so it was really good to, you know, to get that insight from them and on how they're feeling as well. So yeah, go and check it out. Subscribe to our channel, smash the likes, comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.
Not the Villa.